Thank you, Maisel. Well, good morning, everyone, and we're very excited to welcome you to Caltrans District 11's first ever Prepare for the Fair workshop. My name is Maria Ibarra. I'm the Business Services Manager overseeing our small business unit here at Caltrans District 11. And the intent of today's workshop is to prepare vendors that's interested in submitting quotes to our district purchasers while attending our annual procurement and resource fair, which is next month, by providing the tools and resources that they need or you need to fulfill initial requirements. So in today's 2-hour workshop, we will provide you an overview of the agenda for the upcoming procurement, talk to you about a potential opportunity for interested vendors to showcase their products, services, ideas to our district purchasers and decision makers. Then we will introduce you to our guest speakers from the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, PTAC, Small Business Development Center, SBDC, the Department of General Services, or DGS, and from our Caltrans Office of Civil Rights, OCR, as well as our own District 11's training unit. They will all give you information that will benefit you when attending this year's procurement fair. Okay, this year's procurement fair will be delivered virtually over 3 days from October 19th through October 21st. The 3-day event will consist of 6 sessions featuring different guest speakers, presenters, and topics. Day 1 of the fair will give the audience an opportunity to meet the San Diego Public Agency Consortium partners. These sessions will provide an attendee an opportunity to see what other projects and contracts are happening within the San Diego region by Caltrans PAC partners and see how their business may fit into other government agencies. Due to the number of PAC partners, we have broken it up to 2 sessions. So we have the morning and the afternoon sessions. The 9 a.m. session will feature Caltrans District 11, MTS, City of San Diego International Airport, San Diego Unified School District, DGS, UCSD, and NCTD. Our 1 p.m. session will feature SANDAG, County of San Diego, Port of San Diego, Metropolitan Water District, NAVFAC, San Diego Housing Commission, SBDC, and PTAC. Day 2 of our fair will have a construction focus in the 9 a.m. session and an A&E focus in the 1 p.m. session. In the morning session, you will have the opportunity to hear an overview of the construction program at Caltrans District 11, learn about our Minor B program and its upcoming opportunities, learn best tips about labor compliance, learn where to find all the construction opportunities, and meet a few of Caltrans District 11's current prime contractors. In a panel format, hazard construction, granite construction, and Skanska will give the audience some insight on best tips on participating on a project as a subcontractor and talk about upcoming opportunities as well as answer any questions from the audience. In the afternoon session, you will have a chance to hear an overview of the A&E program at District 11, which includes any Cal Mentor updates. You will also have an opportunity to meet a few of District 11's current A&E primes in a similar format at from the morning session. You will have a chance to hear from TRC Engineering, Kimley Horn, Jacobs, Arcadis, Kleinfelder, and AECOM. On day 3 of the event, you will get a chance to meet the district purchasers and hear what types of items they are requesting quotes for and how to submit those quotes. The morning session will focus on our maintenance field offices, which include East Mountain Region crews, the Boulevard and Lake Henshaw stations, Maintenance Region Resource, El Centro Travelway, Structural Steel Paint, Special Crews in Maintenance, Electrical, Chula Vista Yard, our warehouse, and our district construction division. In the afternoon session, we will focus more on the district office purchasers from areas including the Transportation Management Center, or TMC, business services, design, engineering corridors, facilities, resource planning, traffic operations, and surveys. Thank you. So do you have a product, a service, an idea that you feel can benefit Caltrans in its operations? Well, District 11 is offering a 2-minute opportunity for a total of 10 selected companies to pitch their product service idea during day 3 of the fair, including one of the sessions. Which session will be determined upon which purchasers would be most interested in proposed product, service, or idea, or which area of Caltrans would benefit most. There are a few requirements to be considered for this opportunity. First, you must be in attendance in today's Prepare for the Fair in its entirety. Proof of attendance is not required, as the small business team is able to monitor who's in attendance in today's session and for how long. Second, you must be a certified small business, disabled veteran business enterprise, DVBE, and or disadvantaged business enterprise, DBE. Proof of your certification is required. A screenshot of your active certification is sufficient. Third, you must complete the application or the checklist in its entirety. Fourth, you must submit a 1 to 3 slide PowerPoint presentation of your product or service or idea to the small business team for review. Fifth, the product, the service, or idea must be able to contribute to the Caltrans mission of providing a safe and reliable transportation network that serves all people and respects the environment. 6 is all requirements must be submitted as a complete package to our small business team at d11.smallbusiness@dot.ca.gov and no later than Friday, September 24th to be reviewed. Please be advised that no late or incomplete submissions will be considered. Also note that that if selected, a mandatory run-through practice session must take place prior to the day of the event. Participation in this portion of the procurement fair does not guarantee a contract, and do not share any proprietary information, as other attendees, which will include members of the general public, will be present during the WebEx during your presentation. If Caltrans staff is interested in a specific product or service, they are to reach out to the small business team to review the vendor submission package and obtain their contact information, at which point those interested will reach out to the vendor directly. A copy of the application checklist will be provided to everyone in today's workshop, along with a copy of today's presentations shortly after the conclusion of today's event. The application or checklist will also be provided with instructions for submitting a complete package. So that was a lot of information, and feel free, if you have any questions, feel free to reach us out to our email that was mentioned earlier. And now that you know what to expect during our 17th Annual Procurement and Resource Fair in October, I'd like to bring out Mike Sabelico from the Procurement Technical Assistance Center to talk to you more about PTAC services and give you some best tips on getting into government contracting, whether this is your first attempt at government contracting or your 100th attempt. So welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Maisel, for having us. We love working with Caltrans, and I'll get right into it. Folks, thanks for taking the time today to attend this. I think it's important that you recognize that the most valuable resource you have is your time as a small business owner, and you have to use that time wisely, and this is a very good use of that time. My name is Mike Sabelico. I'm a Senior Procurement Advisor at the PTAC in San Diego. We cover San Diego, Orange, and Imperial counties. Our mission is to help businesses learn how to do business with federal, state, and local government agencies, and it's at no cost. I hesitate to say free because sometimes people associate free with not very good, and I think our services are very good. So it's no cost services, and we help small businesses with federal, state, local, and there's a lot of agencies and organizations within California that we can help you. We do one-on-one counseling, we do training workshops, and we do offer a product. It's called Bid Match. It's $199 per year. It's a web crawler that will go onto the web and look at all different websites that have listings of bids and bid opportunities and awards. And if you put in certain keywords and NAICS codes, it'll send you a daily email that kind of makes your job a little bit easier. It's very low priced. I don't want to oversell it because it is not smart. It can't figure out what's the best opportunity for you. It just reacts to what you put in it, and it gives you a nice email, which is centrally located for all the websites, sam.gov, Cali Procure, other state sites, other municipal sites, Planet Bids, things like that. So if you're interested in that, you need to become a client of the PTAC, and we will set up a profile for you. Who do we help? This is a snapshot of who we've helped in the last few years, and you can see that it's all different types. We've got disadvantaged firms, disabled vet firms, minority women-owned, HUBZone, and other small firms. So we help all types of small businesses in our area. Since 95 through 2020, it's 1.7 billion in contracts, almost 12,000 jobs. We've got a pretty high client satisfaction rating. So now I'm going to move into some best tips or practices about government contracting, and also some best tips to promote yourself or go through this event well. I recently helped several companies get ready for the Navy Gold Coast Conference, and we talked about various things. One of them is researching your market. Know who buys your product and services. Particularly, we're talking about Caltrans here, so try to figure out who in Caltrans buys your product or service. A lot of people will come to me and say, Mike, I want to sell to Caltrans. I'm like, okay, which district? And what do you want to sell to Caltrans? So it's one thing to say, I want to sell to Caltrans. It's another thing to be smart enough to figure out who in Caltrans you need to be working on. And you saw that list of various divisions and departments that Maria went over. You really need to nail it down to figure out who do you want to sell to and what do you want to sell. So know what agencies in the federal government or in the specific agency, know who in that agency buys your product and services, okay? There's fierce competition in government contracting. It's not simple. If it was very easy and simple, everybody would be doing it. You can be very profitable, but you have to understand. So if you can find your niche, then you have a better chance at successfully competing for contracts. When you bid federal contracts and you submit 10, if you're winning 2 or 3, you're doing pretty well. I'll do a comparison to Major League Baseball. If you're going 3 for 10, you're batting 300. That's pretty good. But recognize those 10 bids, some of those bids take significant effort. And if you do that, you're going to be disappointed 7 times, which is okay. You have to know that going into it. Know what the space is like, okay? Then you have to understand areas of government spending. For instance, in the last 2 years, the government transitioned a lot of the money that they had reserved for other products and services to PPE, personal protective equipment, because of the pandemic. Understand how they buy it too. We're in the month of September. The federal government is now trying to spend all of the money it had left in its budget. We call this, end of the year spending. They'll do sweep ups where departments will take all the money that different components did not spend and give it to other people who have submitted backlog lists. So there's a lot of spending, particularly with products, that goes on at the end of the year. Whereas the first quarter is sometimes very difficult to get contracts because they're working under a continuing resolution and they can only spend 3% of the budget. So understand how the government spends and what the areas of government spending is. Finally, on this one, I'd say know your competition, okay? So understand who is your competition and You can do that a variety of ways. fpds.gov or usaspending.gov are two websites. If you make an appointment with your PTAC, we can help you learn how to search on there, find out what the government's purchased, who they've purchased it from, and how much they've paid for it. That's great information to see if you're going to be competitive. When I first started my company, I was certified as a disabled veteran business, and I was called by the VA consistently. And they said, Mike, can you sell us this? And I'd say, absolutely. And I'd hang up and I'd search it up on Google to find out what the heck it was. And then I would get a quote from Amazon and I'd put a markup on it and I'd feel great. I've done all this work and I won 0 bids. And that's because I didn't have competitive pricing. Okay, so you have to understand what has the government been paying for your product? Because just because you're a new business or you're a women-owned business or you're a disabled vet or a minority-owned business, that doesn't mean the government has to buy from you, okay? So keep that in mind. You have to have competitive pricing, and it is a very competitive market. Okay, I think this is the last one or second to last slide. It's all about the customers. Customers will create market-driven opportunities. So that was clearly evident with the PPE market recently. They were reacting to the public health crisis, and there was opportunities to be selling masks, gloves, gowns, all kinds of medical equipment, right? And it doesn't matter what anyone thinks about your concept or your product, except your customers, because if they don't care and you have no customers, you have no revenue. No one's buying your product, right? So that good quality market research includes gathering information from customers or potential customers. When I was a commanding officer in the Coast Guard, I did something very similar. It wasn't a customer, so to speak, but every day I didn't have a lot of actual work to do, a lot of responsibility. It was a 270-foot ship. We had 140 people assigned. I'd walk around the ship and I'd talk to people. And on this one day, I talked to this new recruit who had just reported from boot camp. So he was, on board the ship for about a week. He was a college graduate, and he was very calm and collected when talking to me, which is unusual for a new recruit when talking to the captain. And I said, how's it going? He said, great. And I asked this question of everybody. I said, is there anything we're doing that you think we could do better? How could we improve ourselves? And he said, as a matter of fact, Captain, our small boat, the way we're launching it, is very unsafe. And I think we could do this, this, and this, and make it a much safer operation. I heard it and I was like, wow, that really makes some sense. I called the boatswain Master Chief over and said, hey, Master Chief, why don't you listen to this? He wasn't really happy about listening to a seaman recruit about how to launch a small boat. But when he heard it, it made a lot of sense. We submitted a package to the Atlantic area. That became the new way to launch the small boat for the entire Atlantic area fleet from a seaman recruit that had just reported from boot camp in less than a week. My point of this story is listen to your customers, listen to your employees. Listen to other people in the market and figure out what is the best research you can get to give you the most advantage that you can have. Okay, so you want to know as much as you can about it, and that includes information from customers, employees, and other people in the industry. Hopefully they can help refine and perfect your business model and concept, and you can end up with more sales. Okay, key takeaways. We want to analyze the market. Who is most likely to buy your product? And when I say that for Caltrans here, if you're selling products and you're not selling a service, then you're probably going to be directed more towards the departments that are buying supplies, right? Whatever you're selling. Whereas if it's construction, you're going to go to the construction division because that's a service. Okay, so analyze the industry and make sure you understand what the important part of is the attractiveness of your opportunity. What do you bring to the table that somebody else does not? Why should the agency or the government contract with you by somebody else? Why is it you that can provide the answer? Make sure you understand that and you can present that, okay? You have to understand what the industry is as well as the competition in the industry. And hopefully the outcome of all this market research and calls and studying is that you're going to arrive at a competitive strategy that gives you an inherent value that you can present to the customer. Now, when you're specifically for this event, Make sure your capability statement is well done, and be ready to talk to people. So when you get the opportunity to present your pitch, hopefully you've practiced it, and what you want to say, that is going to quickly give that person that you're talking to the concept of who you are, what you do, and how well you do it. And I'll offer another piece of advice. Please don't lead with the fact that you're a woman-owned business or a DBE or a DVBE. I mean, that's important, don't get me wrong, but that's not why they're going to do business with you. They're going to do business with you because whatever you sell, whatever service you provide, you do it very, very well. You execute. And oh, by the way, I'm also a DBE, which will help you with your goals. Okay. And then finally, on the capability statement, my own business, in the past, I've sold electrical equipment to large primes as a DVBE, helping them meet their 3% requirement on a contract. I've sold medical equipment to the VA, and I've done consulting. Three very, very different things, right? I have three capability statements, each that are honed to that specific capability. If you know the potential customer, you want to hone your capability statement to that customer. It's much like a resume for your company. You want to make sure that that resume is geared and tailored towards that specific opportunity. Same thing with a capability statement. So it shouldn't just sit on the shelf and be there forever. It's going to change. It's going to change according to who you're talking to. And you're also going to have the general version that you can give away at the drop of a hat, because sometimes you don't know that you're going to meet someone. Okay. I think that is my last slide, and I think my time is up. We have some following opportunities. So Wednesday the 22nd, we've got subcontracting opportunities as a webinar. Basic, are you ready for government contracting on October 6th, and creating a capability statement on the 13th of October. If you're interested in doing business with Sweetwater Authority, we have a doing business with webinar where they will present, and that's on Tuesday, September 28th. Great opportunity if you're looking at Sweetwater or the North County Transit District on Thursday, October 14th. This is where they're going to present most of the presentation. And then you're going to have an opportunity to hear what they're looking for as far as help from small business, and also to ask them questions. We also have a really big panel happening on September 23rd at 9 a.m. for the Imperial Valley. You see the people that are going to be involved with that. So if you're interested in doing business in the Imperial Valley with any of these people, please join this webinar. If you want to sign up for counseling, this is how you do it. If you're already a client, there's the email there. If you're one of my clients, you can just call me and I'll schedule it. And if you're outside of Orange, Imperial, or San Diego counties, you can find a PTAC here. There's PTACs across the country, and they're all very, very good. That is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for your presentation. We currently do not have any questions. So if I don't see anything else dropped in the chat, we will go ahead and move on.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Maysel and Maria. We really appreciate working with you. Folks, good luck. Get that pitch ready and sell some product and service. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, so now I would like to bring Cheryl Brown out with the Small Business Development Center to give you a brief overview of SBDC services, as well as give you all some tips on preparing a 2-minute elevator speech in a virtual environment. This will help those who are interested in pitching their product, their service, or idea on day 3 of the procurement fair. Welcome, Cheryl.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me. This fair has been just a wonderful event for many, many years. I think we've been involved with the fair since 2010. So it's been a few years. So welcome, everybody, and glad to have you here. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about how do you prepare for that 2-minute pitch. How do I...
Cheryl, it's on your left-hand side.
Yeah.
And
Oh, there it is. I saw 27. I didn't know what that meant. Alrighty, so let's get started. Facts are facts. It's a very common misconception that there's not very much marketing going on when you're dealing with government contracting. It's all bid, 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 bid. It's all non-relational, but it's not actually the case. marketing is just as important in government contracting as it is in the private sector. And the facts are, first impressions do last a lifetime, but it's the follow-up that really generates the business for you. And there are three components, really basic components of marketing. I mean, I know marketing advisors will tell you that there's so much more, but I just want to keep it really simple for you. There are three components of marketing: name recognition, open dialogue, and then revenues. You need to have the first two before the third can happen. And those two, the first two, occur in that first impression and your follow-up. There's more to communicating, there's more to marketing, and there's more to pitching than just the words that are coming out of your mouth. It's body language, it's attentiveness, it's dress to impress. So even when you're in a virtual environment, you really want to make sure that you're making sure that everything is presenting visually well, because a lot of decisions are made on visual representation. Keep it simple. So when you're preparing your pitch, the verbal components of your pitch are very, very simple. Your name, your company name, a general overview of products and services. You don't want to give everything out in this introduction. You want to identify no more than three like really special core competencies. So if you're a licensed B general contractor, what are you really good at? Is it finish? Is it flooring? Is it framing? Really focus in on the three areas that you know is your sweet spot. You want to reference a past project so you can connect with your buyer that you can do what you say you're going to do. And this is super important. If there's anything else, this is probably the most important. And a lot of times, I have, clients that'll say, oh, well, I have a license. I have a license. I'm a general B license that says I can build a building from the ground up. And I said, okay, well, have you ever built a building from the ground up? Well, no, but I have a license that says I can. I took a test. Well, you know what? I know a lot of people, especially here in California, that have a license to drive that do not drive well. So you want to reference that past project. So making sure that it's kind of like your showcase, and that gives your audience that foundation that says, hey, not only does this person says they can do it, but this is an example of how they do it. There's more to government contracting than just saying what you can do. You've got to put your money where your mouth is. And that's why this reference is so important. It tells your audience, if you will, that you have not only the technical component or expertise, but that you have the infrastructure in place to support a project. And as Mike said earlier, don't lead with your certifications. This is kind of like oh, and by the way, I'm also certified DVBE, SB, whatnot. And then the second component, the final component, is creating an open-ended question. Remember, number one is name recognition. Number two is creating that open dialogue. A lot of nonverbal, much of communication and marketing is done non-verbally. So remember this key: early is on time is late. So when you are preparing for your meeting, you want to make sure that you're logging in, 5-10 minutes early. That way you can test your audio, your video, make sure that if your computer is going to do a sporadic update, that you get that done. If there's nothing else, I can guarantee you is that technology will fail you at the most inopportune time. Also, dress to impress, even if it's just from the top up. I mean, in this virtual environment, we're probably all in our PJs, bottom down, but at top up, make sure you're dressing to impress. Tone of voice is so important. You could be saying something, but if your tone of voice could be saying something completely different. And try to use eye contact. Can be so difficult in this virtual environment when you're doing these online things, because you've got the camera, but then you've got the video. So you're looking at the video, but you're not looking at the camera. So try to remember to look into the camera, speak to your audience as if that camera is the person that you're speaking to. Which means also stay engaged. Try not to get sidetracked. It's so easy when you've got all of these other things going on and you can multitask. When you're in this meeting, stay engaged, take notes, use the nonverbal cues of nodding your head, and try to eliminate distractions. I know it can be difficult, especially if you've got the neighbor's landscaper or the dog's barking. Try to put yourself in an environment where you're not going to be distracted or there's not going to be any kind of background noise. So what does this look like? So this is an example. Good morning, my name is Susan Smith, founder of S&S Engineering. S&S Engineering is a CSLBA licensed civil engineering firm. S&S Engineering specializes in bridges, tunnels, and overhead passes. This year, S&S Engineering designed and managed the SR99 project for Caltrans in Oceanside, California. S&S Engineering is certified as a DVE number 47869 and SB number 748597. What is Big Prime Company currently doing in the areas of procuring or outsourcing civil engineering services? That's it. So you're going to see it maybe sounds a little awkward. You see S&S Engineering, S&S Engineering, S&S Engineering. There's that name recognition. The only way to get name recognition is through repetition. So every time you're emailing or you're calling, you want to make sure that you are referencing the company name so that you get that name recognition. And then the last point is an open-ended question. Try to practice this. Try to refrain from saying, does big company buy these services? Because you're not creating an open dialogue. It's yes, no. So try to ask those open-ended questions to prompt that number 2 component of marketing with creating an open dialogue. Another example. This is going to be primarily for maybe commodities or products. My name is Joe Maloney, Business Development Representative for All Things Metal, Inc. All Things Metal is a supplier of metal products used primarily for heavy construction projects, such as carbon steel, aluminum, copper tubing, and stainless steel. Most recently, All Things Metal supplied 80% of the metal products to Big Prime Company for the building of the John Doe Building in San Diego, California. All Things Metal is a certified SB and DBBE number blah, 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 blah. What are kind of Big Prime Company's minimum requirements to be eligible as a supplier? So see, again, we're using that name recognition. We're letting the buyer, the audience know what we do. We're referencing what we have done. And then we're asking that open-ended question to prompt that open dialogue. Here are some sample questions. We call these, the first 2 questions are qualifying questions. First and foremost, we want to learn what that company or agency or buyer you're talking to is doing in the areas of procuring your product or service. Not all buyers, not all primes are going to be viable for you. They don't always buy your product or service. Now, I know, well, they should, they could, they would, but shoulda, coulda, woulda doesn't pay the mortgage. Especially a prime example would be firms that provide construction management services. Not all prime contractors outsource that function, even if you're certified. It's done in-house. So you would want to find out right from the get-go, what is ABC prime contractor doing in the areas of outsourcing your construction management services? And then the second, which is another qualifying question, is what are their minimum requirements? Those minimum requirements vary from agency to agency. So insurance requirements, bonding requirements, maybe operational history, past performance. If that buyer doesn't buy your product or doesn't outsource your product or service, or you cannot meet the minimum requirement, then you need to move on and identify those buyers that are going to be good for you. Not all business is good business. And then other questions you can ask, what would my company need to do to be eligible for opportunities with? A lot of times our clients or my clients will focus in on the third question first before identifying the first two. Please, please, please do not waste any of your precious time getting registered, filling out pre-qualifications, doing all of that until you have identified that yes, they do buy your product and that yes, you can meet the minimum requirements. Another great question is, what is Caltrans's procurement process? Learn about this. Again, we're trying to create this open dialogue. What certifications and if any would benefit? What's important to ABC companies when selecting a business to work with? All of these questions are designed to get the second component of marketing, and that's that open dialogue. This is your first date. And the purpose, the function of the first date is to get a second date, not get married. Keep that in mind. This is your intro date. This is to find out whether or not this is going to be a good option or opportunity for both you and the company that you're speaking with, that company that you're pitching with. Better to find out on that first date than on the 8th or 9th date. So another thing is, this is kind of a game, and I compare it to the dating. You got the dating. This is where you're learning about each other, you're finding out, you're having that open dialogue. And then you kind of go steady. And this is when you start getting smaller projects, and then you get a contract. And that's when you get married. You can't jump from the first date to marriage. Doesn't work that way. Or for most time, it doesn't work that way. So some tips. Memorize your pitch. Memorize it so you know it like the back of your hand. Use a camera, whether it be on your computer, your phone. Use a camera and video yourself practicing your pitch. Now, this is probably one of the most uncomfortable things to do. Once you can re-watch your video without cringing, you are ready. That includes inflection of your voices, your body language. You want to make sure that you've got this down so that you sound confident and you're presenting the information that's important to your audience. Really focus on creating an open dialogue. That's why practicing is so important. This might be a little change, but asking what is your currently doing in the area? What is your company currently doing in the areas of? What do we need to do as a small business? What are your minimum requirements? That creates the open dialogue, which is the most important piece of this phase, if you will. Be prepared for questions. They're going to ask you that you may be asked about your bonding capacity, your financial capacity. Be prepared to answer those questions. Be patient. This doesn't happen overnight. The odds of you getting a contract in this first meeting are slim to none. You have better odds in Vegas on the roulette table. 2 final things. Be nice. You'd be surprised at how many times I have buyers that will comment on as to why they procure from certain components, certain businesses. One of our, so I own a small business with my family, with my sons. And we work with one of the agencies here in San Diego. And we get comments all the time. You know what, Cheryl, why we call on you? Because you're always nice and accommodating. This quote here is actually a quote from a buyer to one of our clients. And this is, quote unquote, the only thing I changed was the name. Bill, you know why we always call your company whenever we can? Because you're always so accommodating and nice. You don't yell at us. True story. So be nice. And then do not sell. Create an open dialogue. When your customer, when your audience is ready or interested in moving forward with buying from you, let them drive that bus. You're going to create that open dialogue, bring value, create relationships. With that being said, the San Diego and Imperial Valley SBDC program provides no cost support, just like your PTAC and Mike. Primary difference is we also offer support in business planning, strategic planning, access to capital. We also do support in proposal writing, developing capability statements, even helping you create your 2-minute pitch. All things certifications, whether it be federal, state, local, or multi-state. If you haven't started your business yet, we have startup service, startup support, technology commercializations, pretty much any area of business support that you could need. We can provide it at no cost. We have over 100 advisors here in the San Diego and Imperial Valley network. Again, no cost doesn't mean it's free. We are compensated, but resources such as the SBA, Maricosta College, Southwestern College, State of California Department of General Services, the California State of Officers Government Economic and Business Development, Caltrans, Sandag, City of San Diego, County of San Diego, San Diego Unified School District, Sun Construction, Turner Construction. I mean, all of these different entities provide us with the funding so that we can provide you with live trainings, on-demand trainings, virtual trainings, and one-on-one advising at no cost to you. So for more information about those services and how you can get involved, please go to our website. It's right there on the screen here, sdivsbdc.org. I know that's a lot of letters, but it's San Diego Imperial Valley Small Business Development Center.org. With that being said, thank you so much for your time today. I hope that this gave you some information on how you can prepare for the fair, how you can prepare for your meetings with the various prime contractors and agencies. If there's anything we can do to help you, to support you, please do let us know. You can send us an email at centerinfo@maricosta.edu, and our office coordinator will guide you with the next steps. But with that being said, any questions?
Cheryl, we have one question in the chat, but I just want to make sure that that is for you or if it's for the small business team. John St. John, can you hear me? You asked, does your single slide represent all the content spread across 3 slides or just 1 slide? I think that's going to be directed for us for the package submittal. Maysel, do you want to respond to the question?
Yes, so if he's referring to the pitch component or the application process, yes, it's 1 to 3 slides in its entirety of your product or service. So basically what Cheryl was mentioning for your 2-minute speech, you want to put all that information within the 1 to 3 slides. I hope that answers this question.
Thank you, Maysel. All right. Other than that, we do not have any other questions. Cheryl, thank you so much for that great presentation. Those were some really good tips. I'm going to go ahead and now introduce and welcome Michael Aguilio with the Department of General Services to talk to us about a couple of the certifications that Caltrans recognizes, the process to get those certifications, and its benefits. Hi, Michael. Welcome.
Hey, good morning. It is morning, right? Yeah, 10:20. Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Aguilio with the Department of General Services out of the Office of Small Business and Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise Services with the state of California. Today, I'm going to talk to you about, let me try to share my screen here, if I can get it up. Okay, share. There we go. All right, so, okay. Hopefully you can see the screen. Can you see the screen there, Alex?
Yes, we can see it.
All right, fantastic. So this is my contact information. Best way to reach me is via email, should you want to do so. It is Michael, Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, A-G-U-I-L-L-I-O @dgs.ca.gov. Of course, you're going to have a copy of this presentation after I finish. So let's move forward. We're going to talk about the overview of the small business program, the state certifications, the benefits of certifications. We're going to talk a little bit of once you decide you want to get registered and certified, how to do that and where to go. And finally, we're going to talk about past purchases and how you can use that information to better provide.
I'm sorry, Michael, to interrupt, but I don't think I see your screen. I think it's still the PowerPoint presentation pulled up within WebEx.
Ah, is that right? Well, I see my screen.
If you don't share, I can share your PowerPoint presentation unless
I'm sharing it, but
There
it
it is.
doesn't show. Okay.
It's showing right now. Thank you.
Does it work?
Yes.
Are you sure? Okay.
Positive.
All right, let's move forward. I know we got limited time, so I don't want to overextend my welcome here. Anyway, here's the topics that my screen, of course, just disappeared. So, all right. Anyway, we have huge goals. We have a 25% inclusion goal for small businesses and a 3% goal for disabled veteran business enterprise. There's a huge amount of money we spend in those areas, and if you're not one of them, I'm going to try to help you become one. So you wondered what is 25% equal to? Well, we spent about $12 billion, which DGS tracks. The state actually spends a lot more money than that. But out of that, we spent $3 billion, give or take a few, with small businesses. As you can see, last year we didn't meet goal. It's at 23.7%. During COVID, we had a lot of emergency purchases, which was outside of the realm of our tracking ability. The other thing is that we have $336 million that we spent with DVBEs, and we exceeded that threshold. So we're really doing great in that area if you happen to be a veteran. We have three types of certifications. We have a small business certification, a small business for the purpose of public works, and disabled veteran business enterprise certification. Each certification has its own qualifications that you have to meet. That I will put in the chat on what those are, and you can then ascertain if you qualify and move forward to get certified. Now, certification process is steps. You'll have to go to Cal eProcure to set up a profile, and as such, you're going to get a username and password. But all of this allows you to have the benefits that you're looking for. You get to put, as I said, a profile into the Cal eProcure website. So this is you representing yourself. Be thorough about how you're doing that. The other benefit that you have is that you get a small business preference. In other words, small business get a 5% bid preference on pretty much all solicitations that the state is putting out. And there is a DVB incentive. In other words, from 0 to up to another 5%. And if your DVB incentive and the preference are both in there, it can be up to a 10% discount on your bid up to $100,000. So there's a huge benefit for certified small business. We have the Prompt Payment Act. The Prompt Payment Act states that we pay small businesses first within 45 days of an undisputed invoice. And if we don't do that, the state is required to send to you a late penalty payment. So just great for you as a small business owner. The other thing that we have is we have reciprocity partners that have entered into agreements with the state of California to whereby they accept your small business and or your DVBE certification. So it's huge for you as a certified firm within the state of California through the Department of General Services, because our partners, which is cities, counties, municipalities, accept that certification and have programs set aside for you. Now, the other big thing that the state has specifically for small businesses and disabled veteran business enterprises is the SB DVB option. And what that means is that if you're in our database as a certified small business firm and or a disabled veteran business enterprise, the state can enter into a contract with you by getting at least 2 quotes for goods, services, and IT goods and services up to a penny less than $250,000. Huge amount of money. For public works, if you have to be certified or doing work in that area, $333,000 can be awarded to you as either a small business and or DVBE if you are certified by the state of California. We can just get 2 quotes out of that database, and then we mark it, or we send the contract to you if you are the lowest bidder. One of the things that Cheryl had put out is that you got to continue to market to the state of California, primarily because these options or these bids are not advertised. They're not advertised bids. We go into the database to find qualified firms, and then we award accordingly to the bids that are presented. So it's really important that you continue to, as Cheryl put out, market your information and what your qualities are and why it's so important that we want to do business with you. Now, the certification process, as I alluded to earlier, the first step is to register your business with the state of California. So you're registering to get a username and password. Everybody who wants to use this particular service will register, whether or not they can get certified or they just want to get into the system. So you're registering for a username and password. Secondarily, you'll apply for the SB and DVB certification. This process in total will take you less than an hour to do, assuming that you have all the information that is required to put into the questionnaire that is a part of the online documents. The list for all this information is available at the link at the bottom of www.caliprocure.ca.gov. Now, all of this is at no cost. It's free to do business with the state of California, other than the time that you invest in your businesses to do marketing, to get your capability statements, as Mike would put out. And there's other factors that you have to do, understanding the cost of how to do business, your overhead. So there's a lot of things that you need to know. So there is a cost for you as business owners, but not a cost to participate in state contracting as putting in bids, that is. Now, where do you want to start? You want to start here at www.caliprocure. It's called the California State Government Marketplace. Start by, of course, logging in and registering your business. You're going to create a username and password. By doing so, when you log in or you register, you're going to register yourself as a new bidder. You're going to be a new bidder. You're going to put in all the information of all the questions that we ask of you in the questionnaire. So it's really simple. It's only 5 simple questions, at least to get registered. The next step of after getting registered, you'll get an email back saying, thank you very much for registering. Here is your username and your password. You have to go back into the system, log in again, because we want to verify that you are in fact the owner of this business using the information we sent to you. The system is then going to ask you to change your password. So just understand that, so that your new password would be the one that you continue to use from that point forward. All right, so this is the email that you would receive. The next step, of course, is to enter in, log in. It'll say you the login has expired. Please use the next password. Here's your new password. Once you have done all of that and logged in again, this is all to verify you as a checks and balances to ensure that you are the business owner and you're getting the information that is required. You can get started here, get started to get registered. Like I said, all of this, when you hit there, that one link, it'll take you to apply, and it'll also list the items that you have to have or should have in regards to the certification process. It's pretty simple, easy, straightforward, takes you less than an hour. So certification is pretty straightforward process for the state of California. Now here's a clue. We have PDFs. As you can see here, you can download them, take a look at them. My recommendation is you download the requirements, make sure that you meet all the requirements, or at least read them, and then finally gather all the documents that are required to enter in, like your tax returns. You need 3 years of tax returns. If you've been in business less than a year, then you don't need any. As long as you put in the date when your business is started, the computer will automatically ask you, okay, well, you've been in business 2 years according to the date you entered. We would like to see or submit your taxes. So all that information is preloaded by you and answer the questions. The computer will then ask questions that you may related to your answers. Nevertheless, though, you can get certified in these 5 areas. As a small business, the purpose of doing public works, this disabled veteran business enterprise, and their 2 nonprofit or sections here, veteran service agency or nonprofit recognition. We do certify those businesses as well. Now, here's the thing that you should know. When you're getting certified as a small business, and you meet the small business qualification, which basically is 100 or fewer employees and $15 million or less over a 3-year tax period, and you stay in that category, you do not have to apply for the small business doing public works. The small business public work is automatically given to you. The only time you have to register or get certified as a small business doing public works, if you exceed the 100 employees and you exceed the $15 million. So now you have another certification on top of that, and you have to apply for that one. If you're a small business under those thresholds, you don't have to apply, you're automatically given. Just so you understand that you don't have to do extra work. Everything that we do starts here at Cali Procure. So here's the web page. Here's what it starts and what does it look like. Please forgive me. My computer keeps turning off and on, so the screen goes blank, and you probably see that. All right, so the thing that I wanted to point out to you is after you get registered and you get certified, you're really good to go. The next step is, okay, Michael, who do I meet? You know, it was brought up that you have to market to the people that you want to sell your products to. Of course, you've already done your pre-research. Does the state buy what you sell? Well, all of this can be done in this one simple website. Find past purchases with the state of California. The state of California registers all its purchases over $5,000. You'll see some of them under $5,000 in there as well. Many of the buyers who have made purchases will put all their purchases in here. They're not required to do so unless they're $5,000 and over. So there's, they're just trying to make it easy work. So when they can run reports, they have all the data they have. Nevertheless, here, when you go to find past purchases, the step here is to type in a description of what you're looking for. Or if you want, you can do an advanced search. The advanced search will pop up. You can put the UNSPSC codes that is associated with your business that you have chosen, and you just press search. So you can search by any field here. When you press search, all of a sudden you'll start, well, it doesn't say all of a sudden. It does take a while. There is a lot of data to sort through. It may take a minute or so. But once the search function starts to populate, it will list everything that you have done, whether you put the description as in water, and all the water purchases will come up, or anything related to water, or if you put the UNSPSC codes like we have in the search function, it will then start loading everything in that UNSPSC code. If you look really closely under the search, here's what the search looks like. Once it starts to populate, you can see here that under that code, all the stuff that the state had bought in there. So you can take a look, and what's really important here is that the state will give you the price that it paid for it and the supplier that sold it, so you know who that is. And if you look further to the right as we scroll over, it will actually tell you who the buyer is and what their email is. So you get all this information that you can utilize before you go to bid, and or if you're searching for opportunities. It's all available to you in the skippers area. So one of the biggest failure rates the state has found in its steps when we took a survey, the biggest out of top 12, this is one of them, is that you never look at the historical purchasing database prior to submitting a bid, so you don't see the cost. Once you understand how much we paid for it, then you understand how your price should be in regards to that. One of the biggest hints that I have for you is that when you find the buyer, as this is right here, and I'm sorry about the blinking screen, I got bandwidth issues right now. You want to send the email to not only the buyer but the corresponding advocate, which I'll hopefully get the opportunity to show you before this time is up on mine. The next thing that I have available for you as sellers to the state of California is we have a brand new website. It's called the Statewide Procurement Data Dashboards. These dashboards will have these topics right here. What did that department spend their money on? The UNSPS, the top UNSPSC spends. You can sort it that way. Leverage procurement agreement spends, the top spend by the department alone. All of this information is available to you by going to these links. Go to the California DGS website. You just type in dashboards, and usually the drop-down menu will always give you that state data dashboard. You click on that, and then it'll start to give you information that you didn't know existed. all information about how we spend it, where we spend it, who's spending it, top 10 department spends. It's all available for you as suppliers to the state of California to do the background work necessary to make sure that you are marketing to the right person at the right time for the right price. It's all available to you if you're using the resources available that the state has. Now, one of the things that I want to point out, I'm getting to the end of my presentation, is that our resources partner, as you just heard from Mike Sabelico from the Small Business, actually he's from the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, and you had Cheryl Brown from the Small Business Developmental Center, and of course, not represented here today is SCORE. Those are our three big people that the state uses and sends some of our clients to get technical assistance and or small business assistance for many aspects, as was pointed out earlier, whether it be funding, capability statements, checking your bids before you sent it in. All that is available to you by utilizing the resources that you had just heard from and ones that you haven't met yet. These are very good at no cost too. I like Michael's definition of no cost. They are great resources. Please use them. You can't go wrong without without trying not to go. How I want to put this. They're great resources and they're a great benefit for you. That's the best way to put it. All right, so I just went over a couple of items with you. This is the overview of the small business program, the state certifications that you can qualify for, the benefits of those certifications, the steps you have to take. You got to register and then get certified. All of that is less than an hour if you are a small business. If you have a partnership or a larger corporation, it does take you a little bit more. As you answer questions, the computer will recognize what type of business you have and it will ask you more accordingly. I showed you how to find past purchases. Will help you with your future tries to bid and future contacts. One of the things that I'd like to see from you, if you're finding success, please let us know. Use this customer mailbox, send your success stories to us. We like to feature you on our Twitter page. So if you find success in your endeavors in working with the state of California, please send that information to me. I like to highlight that. The other thing that the state has, it's new to our program, we have Microsoft Bookings. It allows you to have one-on-one with a specialist with the state of California. All you have to do is make an appointment. You can either do that by going to the link that is listed at the bottom, which you will receive as you get this PowerPoint presentation. I had supplied this already to Caltrans. And finally, you can just go onto the QR code here. Just log in, you get a half an hour meeting with one of our specialists with the state of California to talk about a myriad of topics. And finally, I want to thank you very much for your time and participating today. The whole idea here is Caltrans and myself and all our reciprocity partners, including our resource partners, SBDC, the PTAC, and SCORE. Our goal is to help you as small businesses find participation in government agencies as well as public agencies, which I try to do despite the fact I work for the state of California. My recommendation is that you reach out to everybody that might be and using the resources that we do have to find opportunities that will benefit your businesses. Remember, any money is better than no money, and our job is to help you find that opportunity. Now, if you found information that you can use in this presentation, do me a favor, pay it forward by doing a random act of kindness for somebody else. I want to thank Caltrans District 11 for hosting and allowing me to participate and being a part of this great panel that I sit with today. All right, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you so much, Michael, for that detailed presentation. It was really great. We do have one question from our audience.
Oh, no.
So they're asking, what's the threshold for SB Micro in dollars?
That's very good. The micro businesses are less than $5 million and 25 employees. I just want to remind everybody that if you are a micro business, so if you are getting certified as a small business and you have 25 employees or less and you make $5 million or less, the state will automatically give you a micro business certification. So you'll have an SB MB certification after your business name. Now, why is it so important that you get this as well? Not, you don't even have to apply for it, you automatically get it. Many of our cities and counties use local business preferences, and they use the micro business certification to find businesses in those particular areas to provide you with opportunities in those areas. They give you points for being a micro business and a local business as well. So you don't have to apply, you're automatically given a micro business certification if you meet those qualifications. Thank you very much for the questions. And if you don't have any more, like I said, I want to wish you a beautiful day, and you're more than welcome to reach out later for a one-on-one consultation if you choose to do so with any one of us resource partners, SBDC, the PTAC, State of California, and or SCORE. And of course, you have Caltrans here, Marisol, Maria, and doggone
Alex.
Thank you, Alex. All right, take it away, Alex.
Thank you so much, Michael. And before I move on, I just want to reiterate to the group that all of the presentations will be shared shortly after the conclusion of today's event. So we'll go ahead and get those out to everyone. Now I would like to bring Aisha Copeland and Danella Reynolds to the stage from Caltrans's Office of Civil Rights to talk to us about another certification that Caltrans recognizes, its advantages, the requirements, best practices. So welcome, Aisha and Danella.
Thank you so much, Alex, for that. First, I just want to say good morning, everyone. I am Aisha Copeland, the acting branch chief of the outreach branch at Office of Civil Rights. Again, in addition to myself, Danella Reynolds will be available to discuss some things in regards to this presentation as well. Today, I will be presenting the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Certification Overview. Next slide, please. With today's overview, the learning objectives are Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program Overview, the benefits of certification, eligibility requirements, and then there's going to be an opportunity for questions. Next slide, please. So a disadvantaged business enterprise is a for-profit small business that is at least 51% owned by one or more individuals who are both socially and economically disadvantaged. Also, the management and daily business operations of a DBE business must be controlled by one or more of the socially and economically disadvantaged individuals who own it. So socially and economically disadvantaged persons are any individual who has been subjected to racial or ethnic prejudice or cultural bias within American society because of his or her identity as members of groups and without regard to his or her individual qualities. Next slide, please. The DBE program was established in 1983. It is a legislative mandated program implemented by the Federal Highway Administration as a condition of the states receiving federal funding. Next slide, please. So the DBE program objectives are to ensure non-discrimination in the award and administration of federally funded contracts in Caltrans highway, transit, and airport financial assistance programs. Another objective is to create a level playing field on which DBEs can compete fairly for tailored in accordance with the applicable law, and also to ensure that only firms that fully meet this part's eligibility standards are permitted to participate as DBEs. Next slide, please. Now, here are some of the benefits of DBE certification. With a DBE certification, your firm will be recognized by 900 local agencies in California. It also expands the opportunities to participate in federally funded contracts. firms become accessible to prime contractors needing to fulfill DBE participation goal requirements. There's also a listing in the CUCP database, which is available to all state agencies and general public. And lastly, there are a lot of training and networking opportunities that would be available for your firm. So moving on to the California Unified Certification Program, which is also known as the CUCP. Next slide, please. The California Unified Certification Program is mandated by the United States Department of Transportation. California's Unified Certification Program is an agreement between multiple certifying agencies. The CUCP provides a public database to find DBEs. You can also view competitors' profile information on this website. Next slide, please. Along with Caltrans, here's a list of the DBE certifying agencies in California. The main differences between the Caltrans and most of these agencies is they only certify in a specific geographic area, while Caltrans certification branch certifies eligible firms throughout the state. There are other agencies which provide DBE certification in their geographic area. Next slide, please. So DBE, we're going to go ahead and get into DBE eligibility requirements. Certifying agencies are required to request tax documents, personal identification documents, and business documents to certify that the potential DBE meets the eligibility criteria. The following 6 eligibility requirements listed on the slide must be proved by a DBE applicant, but they do not cover all of the requirements found in 49 Code of Federal Regulations, Part 26. Next slide, please. Thank you. So the social and economic disadvantage, this refers to the 6 presumptive groups who are considered disadvantaged by the federal government. These groups include Asian Pacific Americans, Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, Native Americans, subcontinent Asian Americans, and women. Next slide, please. Now for the ownership. Ownership must be a for-profit small business where socially and economically disadvantaged individuals own at least 51% interest and control management and the daily business operations. Ownership cannot be in name only. In the case where there's multiple owners, 51% of the comprised of the socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. Control. The 51% owner must possess the required license or credential, if required by law, to own and control a certain type of firm. This means that if you have an engineering firm with 3 owners, but only one holds the required licenses, that specific person must have management control over daily business operations. Independence. An independent business is one that the viability does not depend on its relationship with another firm or firms. This means that the business, it can't not be dependent on another firm to provide personnel, facilities, equipment, or any type of financial support. Personal net worth. The 51% majority owner must not exceed a personal net worth of $1.32 million. Also, your primary residence, it would not be included in this amount, nor would the value of your business. Business size standard. A firm's 3-year gross receipts average must not exceed $26.29 million. If you do have less than a 3-year average gross receipts, we do encourage you to contact our certification office for additional instructions. And that contact information will be provided towards the end of the presentation. So applying for DBE certification. This process can seem a bit overwhelming, but I am going to go ahead and go through the process with you. So next slide, please. For the application process, the usual processing time is about 90 days after your application is deemed complete. However, if it is incomplete, the certification branch will reach out to you to ask you to provide additional documentation. The time clock, it starts once all the required information is received. Then once the DBE certifying office has received all of the required documents listed in the document checklist, the application process begins. Your application will be reviewed by an analyst and an on-site interview will be scheduled. An analyst from the certification office will visit your business or home office to conduct the on-site interview. The certification analyst will interview the majority owners and principals. Once the on-site interview has been completed, your file analyst, along with the certification manager, will make a decision on your application and you will be notified whether your application was approved or denied. Now, I am going to stop here before we move to the next slide because we do have Danella with us and she is from the certification branch. And I just wanted to ask Danella, do you have any additional information you can provide just to give a little bit more information about the applicant process, such as the site visit?
Oh, hi, Aisha. Yeah, one thing that I wanted to add was due to COVID-19, the site visits are now being done via the telephone. And the firm is sending us pictures that we're inserting into the on-site template. But that's one thing that's changed. I don't see in-person site visits going back anytime soon. But like Aisha said, we review all the documents. Once we have all the required documents is when the on-site telephone interview is scheduled. And they typically take 2 to 2.5 hours. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Danella. So can I, next slide, please? Okay, so now that we've discussed the application process, let's take a look at where our electronic DBE application can be located. So from the Caltrans homepage, you can find information about the DBE program by navigating to the Office of Civil Rights webpage. One of the ways to get there is to click on the programs icon that you see here at the top of the Caltrans homepage. From there, you will click the Civil Rights link, and then the next stop would be the California Unified Certification Program link. This will take you to the California Unified Certification Program, and you want to be sure to click Find a Certifying Agency under the Vendor section, shown here on this slide. Next slide, please. So an online certification screen will populate. There will be 4 certifying agencies and their respective areas to choose from, depending on the areas, location your firm could work in. For this example, we are going to go ahead and show details for selecting the Northern California area. So what you want to do is select Show Details under Is Your Firm Located in Northern California area to choose the Caltrans certifying agency. An additional screen will then populate, providing you with a list of counties in that specific area. You then want to go ahead and click California Department of Transportation. Then click Apply for or Renew Certification under the Vendor Certification section. Now, once the online certification screen populates, you are going to want to click Create Account. and begin following the prompts to answer all questions. Now, you do have to create an account prior to completing the application. One thing to remember is that you may have an account already due to working relationships with other agencies. Therefore, what you want to do is prior to creating a new account, look up your business name just to assure that you don't have an account already. The system will not allow you to have multiple accounts. So it will prompt you that you won't be able to add another account if you have an existing account. Next slide, please. So for the online certification account, you will need to create an account and complete your certification application. Creating the account will allow you to review your profile after certification and complete things such as your annual renewals. Overall, this account is a portal for everything related to your certification moving forward. Now, in order to complete setting up your account for the following information is required. You will need your firm's tax ID, your business information, your contact information, and a contact person. Also, to ensure security of your new DBE application, only you will have access to this record once it is created. By starting the process, it will initially be assigned to you and no one else can access it unless you reassign it to another user for completion. Also, keep in mind, you will have 90 days to complete and submit your new DBE application. If you do not complete the process within 90 days, the record will self-delete. You will also receive periodic reminders sent to you by email to finish the process in setting up your account or your application. A deleted new DBE application, it cannot be recovered and you would need to start the process over. Next slide, please. Some important things you want to remember. So complete your application, of course, within that 90-day time frame so that you don't have to start over. Also, make sure your application and your P&W are signed and notarized, and you will see that when you complete your online application. Also, upload all required documents. You can always go to the link directly to complete your application as well, and the link is listed here for you. Next slide, please. And so now for some frequently asked questions. Next slide. Is there a fee for applying? No, there isn't any cost associated. The only cost would be with the DBE certifications is to notarize your application and P&W statement. Can I mail my application? At this time, all applications are to be submitted online at the caltrans.dbesystem.com website. And lastly, how long does it take to get a response after I submit my application? So after Caltrans receives all the complete and necessary paperwork, it can take up to 1 month for you to receive a response. Next slide, please. So what I want to go over next are the Caltrans resources that might be helpful to you. Next slide, please. So the Office of Civil Rights in Sacramento has an analyst of the day to answer any questions you may have in regards to the certification process. It's best to email them at this time due to the COVID-19 pandemic constraints. However, you still may also call. You can also reach out to your local Caltrans district small business liaisons for assistance. And then there's 2 links here. One, the US DOT DBE program and the DBE federal program are great resources when getting started. Each of these websites will provide you with additional insight of the program you may find useful. So now the last slide, please. I just wanted to open it up for a Q&A session. And Alex, do we have any questions?
Yes, we have a couple of questions. So the first one is, do Caltrans have a classification for a business which have less than 5 employees and the revenue is less than $500,000?
Danella?
Oh, hi, this is Danella. Yeah, it doesn't matter how many employees you have or how much income your firm has made. The thing that we're looking at is your size standard, the majority owner's personal net worth. So, you know, we get applications sometimes that, you know, the business just started a week ago. So there's no criteria as far as how many employees you have.
Thank you, Danella. The next question we have is, can a company apply for a California DBE certification if they operate and are located in another state and qualify for their current state's DBE program?
Okay, so that's there's an interstate regulation. So the firm would need to apply in their home state first for DBE certification. And if they're approved for DBE certification in their home state, then they can apply for DBE certification in any state. The conduit is you have to be certified in your home state first.
Perfect. Thank you. I believe that is all of the questions that we have for now. Thank you, ladies, for sharing such beneficial information. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next presentation. So last but not least, I would like to introduce to you Caltrans District 11's Training and Development Manager to explain to you our procurement processes. Welcome, Mila.
Good morning. I'm very happy to be with you this morning. My name is Mila, and I have many years of experience doing procurement of goods and services with the state of California, specifically with Caltrans. And I would like to start by letting you know that that once we determine that we need to make a purchase for any goods or services, and we reach out to you for price quotes, first we need to check that what we're trying to obtain is not available through state services. So first we have to check with our own warehouse and then the Sacramento Materials and Stores warehouse to see if the items we're trying to purchase are not available with them. If they are not, then we reach out to the Department of General Services Surplus Property and Caltrans Surplus Property programs to see if they have what we need. And this is usually applicable for furniture. If they don't, then we have to check with the California Prison Industry Authority to see if they manufacture what we need. If they don't, then we have to look for a state contract or leverage procurement agreement, an LPA, to see if they have what we need. If they don't, then we can send you some quotes. We can reach out to DGS certified small businesses, micro businesses, and disabled veteran business enterprises suppliers, utilizing the SBDBB option solicitation package. In the rare instances that a small business or a DBBE won't have the items we're looking for, then we can contact competitive suppliers in the open market, utilizing the less than $10,000 to the up to $5,000 solicitation package. Caltrans utilizes many different contract methods for services, and they all are very lengthy processes from the time we send you a request for proposal to the time we finally execute the contract. Many months will go by. So for this reason, I would like to highlight the invitation for price quote. This is a streamlined process when we contract with DGS certified small businesses, micro businesses, and DBBEs. and it takes a short amount of time. And another very quick method to contract services is a service agreement under $10,000, which we affectionately call AU10. And we utilize U10s when the dollar amount of the service it's estimated to be less than $10,000, as the name implies. The solicitation package for non-IT procurement methods. For the $10,000 solicitation package, we need 2 quotes. And also for SB, the DBEE solicitation package, the dollar limits are between $5,000 and 1 cent to $249,999.99, as Michael Aguil, you have already told us. We also request 2 quotes from certified small businesses or 2 quotes from certified disabled veteran business enterprises. And we say non-IT procurement methods because when we purchase information technology, we have additional steps to follow, which I'll mention to you in a minute. Another non-information technology procurement method is a call card, which is also a Visa credit card. It is very popular because it's also very streamlined, and we can purchase goods and services with it. The single purchase limit with call card is $9,999.99 per transaction. And to purchase services, we utilize a call card service agreement, also less than $10,000, and it won't be valid if the amount exceeds $999.99, or if including taxes, or if the term is more than 2 years in duration. So we can only do call card service agreements for 2 years. In order to purchase with call card, for non-IT purchases, we will need a pay data record and a call card certification. Those are 2 forms that we will ask our vendor to complete if they are not in our systems already. If the vendor is already in our databases, we won't need these 2 forms, but we will need a California seller's permit. We also need proof of SB or DBE certification. We will be checking the tax delinquency status. We will requesting that you complete a recycled content certification and also a commercially useful function form. We also need 2 or more price quote from DGS certified small businesses or DBBEs. And lastly, we need the itemized invoice or the sales receipt. For information technology procurement, and we consider information technology any hardware or software or services that are uploaded to our systems or interface with our systems or connect to our networks. And we have these extra steps because the department wants to make sure that whatever we're purchasing in terms of information technology is compatible with our systems. And so when we need to make an IT purchase, we need to submit a justification to the Information Technology Procurement and Contracts Department. They will review the justification to grant approval, and then they will review the state contract index listings to see if the item we seek to purchase is mandatory through a leverage procurement agreement. If the item is not sold through a mandated LPA, then we can purchase from a small business or a DBBE, which is our preferred method. After receiving approvals from the Department of Procurement, Contracts, Information Technology, then we can proceed with the following steps, with the next steps necessary to purchase with CalCard or with any of the other procurement methods I just discussed. This is just a quick sample of the pay data record and CalCard certification forms. To purchase from a selected vendor, the vendor must be listed in the vendor table in the district's financial systems. If not, then we need this form completed by the vendor. We also need the SB and or DVBE certification. And we verify this with the Department of General Services procurement system. So you don't need to provide that to us. We can look that up ourselves, but we will need to submit that with our purchase. We also need a California seller's permit. We can look that up ourselves as well, as long as you give us your California seller's permit number. And we also need to check this couple of websites to see if your tax delinquency status. We are also required to request that you complete a California the CalRecycle 74 form, which is a post-consumer content certification form. And we have to ensure that this that the post-consumer recycled content meet their CalRecycle goals. This is how the form looks like, and we normally would submit that to our vendor to have them complete the form and return it to us. Also, the awarded contractor must perform a commercial useful form, which means that it must perform the work as stipulated in the bid and provide the goods and services listed in the initial bid response. And that was my presentation about the procurement method. Do you have any questions? I'll be happy to answer them.
No questions so far, Mila, but Maisel, do you see any on your end?
Yes, I actually received one directly from Yanet. How does Caltrans contract a DBE consulting engineering services company?
That is a different method, is consultant services, and they go through the awards process where we have to advertise to DGS.
Other than that, I think that's all I see on my end, Alex.
Same. Thank you very much, Mila. We really appreciate all the information that you shared with our attendees today and understanding the whole procurement process.
Thank you. You're very welcome. And if you have any more questions about architectural or engineering, you can contact me directly, and I can contact the appropriate person who can provide information about A&E contracts.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to bounce it back to Maisel so that she can go ahead and close out today's event.
Okay, thank you all for joining us today, and a special thanks to all of the guest speakers, Mike Sabelico, Cheryl Brown, Michael Aguilio, Aisha Copeland, Danella Reynolds, and Mila Tello for taking the time to present such beneficial information to our audience today. And to our audience, before you exit today's session, you will be prompted upon your exit with a brief 2-minute survey about today's event. Please take the time to complete this survey as to tell us how we can better improve this for future for the fair workshops. So remember, we are just a month away from our 17th annual Procurement and Resource Fair. Register today by clicking the link on the slide. This flyer will be shared along with today's presentation and a copy of the pitch application checklist shortly after we conclude this session. If after today you feel that you would benefit from a conversation with our small business team, you can schedule a 30-minute one-to-one meeting with either Alex or myself by emailing d11.smallbusiness@dot.ca.gov. Thank you all again for joining us today, and enjoy the remainder of your day. Thank you.